Welcome to my unboxing and first look at the Silverstone TJ Series TJ10. The perfect combination of legendary styling and advanced chassis engineering. Now, this isn't the newest case in the world, but I needed this for a particular build that I wanted to do, and it is still one of my favorite cases ever, although it's not quite my favorite case. The Silverstone TJ07 holds that crown, and I guess I'm starting to sound like a bit of a Silverstone fanboy over here, but I do like metal aluminum cases. I do like large cases, and Silverstone does make those things. So let's go ahead and flip this over. Oh man, it's light compared to a steel chassis, but it's heavy compared to some of the more recent Silverstone creations we've checked out, like the FT03 Mini. So let's go ahead and have a look at what Silverstone has to say for itself. Premium all aluminum chassis for extended ATX, and SSI motherboards, 120 millimeters only. So that was back when 120 millimeter fans were a big deal. Unprecedented air duct dedicated, that'll show you. Advanced structural engineering. Okay, you know what? Let's just put this down and have a look. I just hit the mic. Okay, let me fix that. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the case. So the first thing we find is closed cell foam. Love to see that. A good 2 inches of closed cell foam around the sides of the case, and then about 1.5 inches on either end. And then up at the top, you can see Silverstone custom builds their foam. So yeah, your case will not get damaged, even if it has a fully fledged liquid cooling system inside it. Love to see that attention to detail, because there are system builders that do integrate in these things, so they will ship it in the original shipping box. All right, next up, we've got all the little accessories and whatnots that you may or may not need to put your system together, and we've got a destroyed box trying to get it open. There we go, so that's working out pretty well for me. So in here we find a piece that it never used to come with before that looks like, I have no idea. Okay, we'll figure that out later. And then we've got all the mounting hardware we need for drives and motherboard tray and all that good stuff. And finally, a manual that probably says something about that other thing, but I don't know. I've built in the TJ10 a number of times, but not for a while. So like I said, I don't recognize that part. And I've actually built in its predecessor, the TJ09, a number of times as well. The only real difference between the TJ09 and the TJ10 is this front door that's here on the TJ10 and is not here on the TJ09. So just a beautiful, beautiful case, and I will be back with white gloves because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm back with white gloves so we can thoroughly investigate this beauty of a chassis. So the front has a gorgeous brushed aluminum finish that I would not recommend touching with your bare hands, because the oils from your hands could etch a thumbprint or fingerprint into it, and it looks so good. We've got a reset switch and power switch in their sort of customary stylized metal finish. We've got an indicator LED for the hard drives as well as a power LED. Silverstone logo up here at the top on the front. Very, very classy looking, sort of a black background with a shiny silver front, although you can pop that out and put something else in there, should you so desire. The front door opens up to this side. Although I believe it can actually be reversed. Yes, it can. So you can take out this mechanism and you can have it open the other way if you want. That reveals 4 5¼ inch bays and 1 3½ inch bay. These covers even are fully aluminum, so you don't have to worry about any ugly plastic being anywhere on your build. I should show you guys this, because this is just awesome. Check out the grade of the aluminum being used here, okay? So hopefully you can see that, but look how thick that is. It is extremely solid, extremely ruggedly built, and you don't get some of that flimsiness that you get on cheaper aluminum chassis. So up at the top here, you can see the front bezel overlaps a little bit, and then the rest of the top is taken up by the I/O, which is hidden away in a little, there we go, compartment there. 2 USB 2.0 ports, FireWire, front microphone and front headphones. There's a USB 3 version coming, but I specifically said I didn't really care about that, so this is the older USB 2 version of the case. Also on the top, 2 120 millimeter fan mounts that are toolless fan mounts. You just go ahead and pop the fans in there. Most people use them for exhaust. However, there's a radiator adapter that I've also gotten my hands on that you can use to mount a dual 120 rad there. This is the VGA venting. that was talked about on the front of the case. So it actually pulls air through the hard drive cages, and then so that's with a separate fan in here. So there's a fan in there that can pull air through this mesh here. And then this right here is its own mesh that actually has a fan on the other side that I can show you if I actually just take off the side panel, the other side panel, that pulls air directly from the outside and then vents it over top of the graphics cards. Now there's only a couple graphics cards that this cooling setup wouldn't be ideal for. Things like a GTX 590 where it needs to exhaust air out the back of the card in order to keep that second GPU sufficiently cool. But most video cards will definitely benefit from this kind of an intake. So you can actually see the construction here. Again, all aluminum, mesh, gorgeous. The panels are a little bit wobbly, but it doesn't really affect it much once they're installed on the case. So here, now you can actually see it a little bit better. There's that vent right there. It's probably the one piece of plastic on the case. These two thumb screws right here hold that 120 millimeter fan, all 120 millimeter fans on this case, that cools the drives. You can put up to 3 hard drives, 3 2.5-inch drives per cage in this bottom cage here and the top cage up here. And I'm trying to get this screw out so I can show you guys this once I get around to the other side. Cable management is pretty rudimentary in this case though. So you can see here that the motherboard tray has an enormous cutout. So even if you have a dual socket setup, and I found out that this is for Xeons, so that's just a back plate. But even if you have a dual socket setup, you're going to be able to access both of the CPUs and install aftermarket coolers or whatever you want. But there's not much room down the back for routing something like a 24-pin ATX cable, so you are going to be a little bit limited that way. On the rest of the back of the case, we don't find a whole lot. So we're going to go ahead and turn this back around again though. Just the construction of it, these solid pieces of aluminum that hold it together. This is the kind of thing I appreciate. I mean, I have a lot of people ask me, Linus, why didn't you just use a Switch 810 for your personal build? To which I replied, well, because it's made of plastic, that's why. Love metal construction. So on this side, we find that same vent that we had on the other side right here. And then we've also got a nice big side panel window, which was one of the requirements for the build that I have upcoming, because I wanted to do a nice water-cooled build that you can see all the gorgeous components inside for. So we're going to go ahead and remove the other side of the plastic cover here so you guys can see more clearly what will be visible inside. So the entire motherboard tray area is pretty much visible in a TJ10 build. And I'm trying to figure out how to get, yeah, that's right, that's how it goes in. There you go. So the entire motherboard will be visible, power supply, 2 radiators, so 120 mil in the back, dual 120 mil in the top, and then maybe another 120 mil in the front here if I can remember how to mount one there. There is a way though. All right, let's go ahead and pull this off. Okay, and that leaves us with hard drive cages. So again, a couple more pieces of plastic here, but sort of a non-factor. There's anti-vibration mounting here, here, and here for the 3 drives that you can pop into this cage. And I put that in the wrong way and it yelled at me. There you have it. Okay. This fan can be replaced in here, so that's a 120 millimeter fan, but it is a bit of a chore. It has a nice big guard on it that will actually prevent any sort of 3, 4, 5, 6. What, is that lined up with it? No, I don't think so. It has a nice big guard on it, so that'll prevent any problems from getting into the fan blades, and then there's the fan connector itself. This is one of the reasons why I would want to replace the fan that's in there, because it does not use sleeved cables. We'll be back in a moment. All right, we're almost done here, guys, but I wanted to show you the RAD support bracket. So it's part number RAD support 09, very creatively. Because it was originally brought out for the TJ09. So basically it just takes this top fan mounting mechanism here, which is meant to be toolless. So you just actually clip the fans in and you replace the whole thing with 2 metal brackets that are designed to hold a radiator. Because unlike its earlier generation cousin, the TJ07, the TJ09 has a ton of room in the top above the motherboard, which will be here, to put a dual 120 mil rad and some fans, although I don't know if you'd get away with push-pull. I guess we'll find out once we get it opened up. The feet on the bottom are in Silverstone tradition, very, very nice. So there you go, there's a look at that. And I think we've pretty much wrapped up what there is to say about this case. It does include Silverstone's aero slots, so those are ventilated PCI covers. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, it's an older chassis, but especially for an air-cooled build, or for, I mean, even for a water-cooled build, it's held up against the test of time extremely well. Thank you for checking out this unboxing and first look at the Silverstone TJ10. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos. I forgot the most important feature of this case, which happens to be the removable motherboard tray. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these thumb screws and show you guys just how a removable motherboard tray might make your life significantly easier. Now you can see here in the bottom of the case where the power supply is actually securely anchored to the chassis itself. So when you do your cable management and you route everything and you tie it all down, what's going to be really easy to do is to pull the motherboard itself out and have all those cables be still attached to it. So that's going to be a big problem for you if you do any sort of cable management whatsoever. So the removable motherboard tray goes a little something like that, but I would definitely recommend using it if you do not do any cable management. Thank you. This has been another video review of the Silverstone TJ10. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos.